So thanks for everybody for making such an early start, and hopefully it will be justified by what it is I have to say, because I think there's a lot to say about what's happening in your area. That's only come as a result of what we've done in regard to devolution over the last few years, and certainly the advent of what's called the mayoral combined authority. And I'm very proud to be the first ever Metro Mayor of the Liverpool City region, and I realised that in that one sentence I probably already posed more questions than I can have time to answer this morning. So what is a Metro Mayor? What does the Metro Mayor do? And why do we need one? I get that quite a lot. And why do we have something called the Liverpool City region, especially for places like Halton, who have their own identity and feel very passionately proud of that identity? Why are they lumped in now with something called the Liverpool City region? So this morning is an opportunity for me to try and explain some of that and to answer any of your questions, and there is some time that's been set aside so that I can do that, and I'm happy to stay until you say that that's enough. But I think what I want to do is to ensure that people go away better informed than when you came in this morning. So I'll start with the macro picture of geopolitics, which is that the UK is the most politically centralised democracy in the Western world, and we have the most geographically unbalanced economy in the OECD. And some people claim that those two things just happen to be coincidental. I believe that those two things are intrinsically linked, and I might well be able to tease that out for you, but it's the result for me of decades of policy making in London, and that decision making gives preferential treatment to areas in the south and southeast, often to the detriment of areas in the north. And I saw that with my own two eyes. I was the Member of Parliament for Liverpool Halton. People talk about this Westminster bubble. It really does exist. You think about the civil servants and the people who serve as Parliament. Think about the parliamentarians and the lords. They all live within the M25 corridor. So is it therefore any surprise that when they're making policy, that they see it through the prism of what's in the best interest of the area that they best understand? So that's why we face poorer outcomes in the north, and certainly in the Liverpool City region, on issues such as transport skills and housing, and why so many people in areas like Halton, it has to be said, felt so disconnected from politics that they decided, when they had the opportunity in the referendum, to vote 57% to leave the EU. And that referendum electorate, if you go out, and I think there are people here today who still do, is still very, very mixed in our areas. We've got 66 in the Liverpool City region, 3 who voted to remain, 3 who voted to leave. And the percentage-wise is 51 to remain, 49 to leave, so it'll be slightly different than the actual country's result itself. But I've always thought that it's our duty as politicians to try and rebuild those relationships with the electorate, and it's no good just to claim that we hear what people are saying. You see that all the time with national politicians. They'll say, oh no, we hear what people are saying. Well, I think they need to start to listen and then to act. And I believe that devolution is the opportunity to do this. As I say, I wasn't just the MP for Liverpool 1, I had the safest seat in the whole country, 650 seats. And I made Liverpool Halton the #1 safest seat in the whole country. And I gave that up because I believe in this thing called devolution. And devolution is a process that began here about 5 years ago, and I've always seen it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to see some power back from Whitehall and Westminster and change the fortunes of our area and really start to shape the destiny, not just for the next year, because that's what happens in local politics. It's all about what happens in that 12-month municipal cycle. So there's an election locally next year, and that's what you do, you gear up for that 12-month period. Devolution gives you the opportunity to think in 5, 10 and 15-year periods. And you need that stability to get some of those big projects over the line. So the history is that we, as leaders in the Liverpool City region, decided to come together in 2014, and we brought together for the first time Halton, Knowsley, Liverpool, St Helens, Sefton and the Wirral. And it's not since the days of the county council, Merseyside County Council, some people will remember that anything of this scale has been tried before, but even then, at that stage, Halton wasn't part of that. Halton's historically always been linked with Cheshire. And despite, it has to be said, some teething problems, me for instance walking in on day one with 0 staff, so no capacity to do anything. We've geared up very quickly, and the government are very pleased with the progress that we're making so far. And in 2015, we signed this historic devolution agreement, and it gives us certain powers and responsibilities. It gave us £900 million of additional funding over 30 years that we would have got. It gave us greater control through the devolution decision-making process over areas like economic development, and I'm sure we'll touch on that one, on transport, housing, spatial planning, but as well as skills, energy, culture, environment, and a whole host of different things. And the deal that we signed came with one precondition, and that was the new combined authority would need to be led by a political figurehead, a metro mayor, and that unsurprisingly met with less universal acceptance. But it was a take it or leave it deal, and so we had to go for this. And the leaders who signed that devolution agreement, I believe, made the correct call, because that big decision affecting our city region means that we can take decisions more locally than the here today, gone tomorrow governments and government ministers who couldn't point to the likes of Runcorn or Widnes on a map, let alone understand the needs of the people here. So the story of the devolution journey so far has been one of success. To date, we've invested £400 million, the length and breadth of our city region, which are creating 9,000 jobs, 5,500 apprenticeships, and loads of other ancillary benefits. And Halton has certainly received its fair share of the funding. So, for instance, there are schemes such as the £18 million we put into reopening the Halton Curve. Hopefully, people saw that with the first trains coming in from North Wales into Liverpool city centre just a few weeks ago. £1.5 million into the STEM centre at Riverside College, which is in Widnes, as people know, and also in Widnes we put £5 million into Alston, and that's created the largest rolling stock modernisation facility in the whole UK, and they're currently repainting the 56-strong Virgin Pendolino fleet of trains, and that's leading to hundreds of jobs and apprenticeships for local people, and I think something like 87% of people in those jobs are local to Halton. And this is all at a time when councils are being hollowed out, they're being hit hard by government austerity, but we've still been able to invest £45 million into this borough alone. And believe me, there's plenty more to come, and there's some really exciting schemes, which if we get time, we'll try and touch on those at the end, but you've got some really exciting schemes coming up that could be transformational to the fortunes of this area. But if we're honest, I think that out of the 6 boroughs, 6 districts, Halton feels the most distant from the epicentre of Liverpool and from the devolution project itself, and I do get that. There are people in here who will tell you I spend considerable amounts of time in Halton and everywhere else, knocking on doors, going to events, listening to people, and I do understand the problems of the identity of being involved in the Liverpool city region. I call it the Halton hokey cokey. It's part of the city region and the LEP area, yet the police and fire services are in the Cheshire. It pays into our transport system, yet the money is passported straight back out due to historical arrangements, and locals don't currently benefit from the concessionary travel scheme that we have for other city region residents, but conversely, Halton residents benefit from the discounted travel across the Mersey Gateway, which is a fantastic piece of infrastructure, but the other 5 boroughs don't. And for many people who do travel over the bridge, it's reviled because of its tolls and fines policy. But all of that, for me, is an opportunity where we're going to derive benefit for all, so that we can try and standardise what people get in the city region. But this is going to take some time. But it's a bit different here than, say, for instance, in Greater Manchester, where my great friend, Toby won the 6th Champions League the other day, Andy Burnham, who's an Evertonian, but he has walked into something where they've had AGMA, the Association of Greater Manchester Authorities, not for a few years, but for decades. And so they've got this record of collaboration that we haven't, and yet we're starting to forge some of those relationships. And there's still this air of uncertainty about what the city region structure is actually all about. So this is the backdrop. It's not surprising that earlier this year, when I was forced to introduce a small charge on people's council tax bills called a precept to cover the running costs of the combined authority, that a change.org petition was established demanding Halton's exit from the city region. Hexit, perhaps, I don't know, but the tangible benefits of devolution perhaps haven't been teased out enough, and we need the Chamber's strength and opportunity to get that message out. We need other organisations to actually explain to people what they get for the 12, 13, 14 pounds that they put in a year into the pot. And again, I'm more than happy to answer any questions on that. But if Halton did go out of the combined authority, I mean, there's some legal issues that you'd have to get over, but if it did want to go, quite simply, it would be much, much worse off out than in. Where I've heard that said before. Our region has just recently secured £183 million extra funding from government, and that's just in the last 2 years, for things like transport, for homelessness, for the whole host, people getting back into work through our Household into Work programme. And all of that is available to us, but not to areas like Cheshire West and Chester, who don't have a devolution agreement, who are desperately trying to get one. And I was helping former leader Sam to try and see whether we can provide support for them to get it, because I do believe that devolution is for everyone. When you think about the federal structure in Germany, after the Second World War, the Allies decided, tell you what, we don't want Germany to become a superpower anymore. What we'll do is we'll chunk it up, we'll regionalise it, we'll federalise it, and then it can never be the armed force that it once was. And yet, you have a look at what happened in Germany. They became individual superpowers in the superpower state, and it's the most successful economy now in the whole of Europe. And that's because they had devolution. And that's what I want to do. I want to seize those opportunities of devolution to tackle all of those sort of issues that we've got. In November, I announced a £500 million strategic investment fund, and that's taking bids right now. Who are the people in this room who either yourselves or you'll know people who may want to access this funding? £500 million. It's there for you. It's for projects that will create growth, economic growth, but inclusive growth at that. And it has the huge potential to transform communities as well, so I want that to have some social good. But quite simply, without devolution, Halton wouldn't have access to this and wouldn't be part of it, be left further behind. But it is leading the way in an awful lot of things, playing a full role in the city region. So we've embarked on a number of devolution projects. And I'll just give you a couple of examples of where I think that this is the benefit of what we're doing by working together. So we're currently underway with a digital project, and if we get this right, and this isn't an idle boast, if we get it right, it could put us on par with Silicon Valley. Okay, no laughter, but I'll explain why. The project would be more difficult if we didn't have Halton in it, because, as you know, you've got the Hartree supercomputer. I hope everybody does know that. Yes. The most powerful and sophisticated computer in the whole country. It's not in Oxford or Cambridge or London. It's not part of the Golden Triangle. It's in Halton. And we need to better use the Hartree supercomputer. We also, at the other end of our city region, we have something called the GTT High Barrier Link. It's the fibre optic cable that links the UK with North America. I bet you lots of people didn't even know that. And those two assets, fantastic as they are, and they do some good things, they just sat in splendid isolation, unconnected, underutilised, and largely underappreciated. But no more. We're developing a really exciting project to connect up the fibre optic cable with the supercomputer via a 363-kilometre digital ring, and it'll cover the whole city region, so it'll go through all the 6 districts. By doing so, it'll bring those two things together, giving us a major advantage over anywhere else. So it will give us the fastest broadband speeds in the whole country, possibly in Europe, ultra-fast speeds. So think about that for businesses. And it'll also do something which is the raw material that everybody's trying to get hold of now, which is the capacity to carry out big data analytics. And for those of you, I'm sure there are people here who understand all of these things, especially with big data analytics, you'll understand the possibilities of what this means to us, because this is about the future jobs. In big data lies the raw material for life-changing research, for cutting-edge commerce, and a whole host of different things. And our proposals provide us with the opportunity to embrace technology and technological advancements, to lead in the fourth industrial revolution, to modernise our economy, and to boost productivity. Unfortunately, we've got one of the lowest productivity rates in the country, and it's not through lazy people. When you have a look at individually our output, it's great. When you have a look at overall productivity rates, not fantastic at all. It will also help us to drive innovation in areas like health and social care and life sciences. Big one for us at the moment, in research and development and in skills and education. We need to improve our skills outputs. We do that, I believe, by intervening in education much sooner than we're given responsibility for at the moment. And we'll make sure that every business, every school, every university, every hospital, and every home in our area sees the benefits from true digital inclusivity. Now, I will come to an end and I'll answer any questions in a moment, but before I do, I just want to explain one other project which I think, again, demonstrates why Halton is important to the future of the Liverpool City region. And ever since, you know, I was a kid, a boy, 20 years or so ago, people, oh, you got that one, yeah? People have talked about harnessing the power of the River Mersey. There'll be people here who've heard the Mersey barrage, you'll remember the Mersey barrier. I was always thinking, if it's a barrier, how did the ships get through and all that sort of stuff? But they've talked about harnessing the power of the River Mersey, and it is that great untapped resource. We've got plans now, advanced plans, to use its immense power to generate clean, green, predictable, plentiful, renewable energy for generations to come. In 1981 and then 30 years later, 2 serious pieces of research were carried out examining the potential for energy generating schemes across the River Mersey, and both of those reports at that time came to the same conclusion, that any such scheme would be hugely beneficial to the Liverpool City region, but regrettably that the projects got no further than an initial report stage because the finances didn't stack up. However, since those feasibility studies in 2011, the latest one, a number of things have changed in our favour, and we now of course have a city region, and we have the politicians working together in collaboration instead of against each other. It means that the areas that latch onto the River Mersey, Liverpool, the Wirral, Sefton and of course here in Halton are working collaboratively and support the commitment for this project. There've been major changes in the energy market, and energy security is a big thing for the country at the moment. Tidal, as we know, is clean, but its predictability, unlike solar and wind, means that we can forecast energy output almost to the minute, decades in advance. And technological advancements in turbine design mean that the output is greater than it would have been in 1981 and certainly in 2011. And it'll give you better yields over a longer period of time, which is, again, for those people who understand hedging, many people have put huge sums of money into high yield, quick return. They want much more stable now. Certainly pension schemes are looking at this as something where they can get a return over 120 years. So it's a much more attractive option now than it's ever been before, and thanks to the Mersey Gateway Bridge and the post-Panamax facility at the Port of Liverpool, we've got all of that wealth of research, information and evidence about what happens when you drill into the bed of the River Mersey that didn't exist previously. The knock-on effects, of course, of any structure to the ecosystem of the River Mersey, because we have to be very mindful of the environment, and all of this evidence now will ensure that we get the right scheme in the right place for the right price. And last month I marked 2 years as the elected Metro Mayor. As part of that anniversary, I announced that the Tidal project would move towards its business case stage, and we put an extra few bob into the kitty to ensure that we can do that. And as a result of that, we're able to share now some of the facts around the sheer scale of this project and just how much energy it could generate. So the brains trust that we have back at base are telling me that the scheme could potentially generate up to 4 times the energy of all of the wind turbines in Burbo Bank, Liverpool Bay, which would power up to 1 million homes, 500 football stadiums, or send an electric train around the world 3,554 times. In other words, this is a big scheme. It's bigger than a nuclear power station and cheaper, and we don't have to decommission it at the end. So just imagine if we get this over the line, how many jobs that would create. Thousands, literally thousands of well-paid, high-skilled jobs ranging from architects, designers, technicians, marine contractors, construction workers, fabricators, assembly yard workers, and operations and maintenance engineers. But I don't just want to do this. I want to capture the IP. I want to be able to work with, and it's hopefully going to be Cavaliers, but I want to modularise what we're doing so that we can export it and sell it around the world, because nobody's doing hydrogen at the moment, and we could be ahead of the game for once. And we've got that post-Panamax facility. And basically what I'm saying is that these huge, big pieces of infrastructure, we float them down to the post-Panamax facility, we stick them on these huge ships, and we can go anywhere in the world. You get to the other end, you lift them off on a crane, you stick them together, a bit like this with a bit of blue tack, you put a plug on either end, and it starts working. It generates huge amounts of energy, and it is clean, renewable energy, so it's the thing that people are looking for. I think that will create the real benefits to the wider city region. And again, Halton's taking the lead in this, because my portfolio leader, holder in energy and renewables, is Rob Polhill, who's the leader of Halton Council, so we've got a big part to play in this. But hopefully by telling you some of the things that we're doing, you can see the benefits of what the Liverpool City region will do for this area. We're in this for the long haul. This is not meant to be a magic wand that's going to put all the deals of what's happening in the country right overnight. It's not going to do that, but I want, hopefully, you to understand the message that you in the chamber can be part of a brighter future for the whole city region. And so there you have it, a whole speech from politicians with hardly a mention of the B word. And Rachel, I'm glad to take any questions from anybody who wants to pose.